You guys are pieces of shit. I'm gonna sue you dumb bitches for millions now.
What's your name, badge number?
Yeah,
I don't like your f***ing attitude already.
Okay.
Each one of these jackboot thugs sitting here now is literally a Nazi.
Listen to me real fucking carefully.
Sir.
I ain't Willy Wonka. I don't sugarcoat shit, sweetheart.
You is not gonna put your hands on me, bro. I swear to God, you is not, dude. You is not. I'm not going across the street, you coward.
This is definitely a public area.
You done violated my First Amendment rights. You done violated me.
Look it up. No, look, I walk this way. No, I walk this way now.
Say it to my face. I bet you won't.
Yeah, where the hell's Ming Lane?
No!
He's very horny.
I actually don't have to answer any goddamn questions because I have a Fifth Amendment right.
Now that tells me he wants to shoot me. That tells me he wants to riddle my body with bullets.
You're gonna piss me off, buddy boy, you're gonna learn.
Trash cop, pig, checking out the public space. Ooh, you guys got Hershey Kisses. Awesome.
She's kidnapped me now. That's kidnapping.
Touch me again. Touch me again. You're calling the fucking cops? Yeah, fuck off, asshole.
What are you gonna do? I'm gonna close the door. I'm just gonna close. I don't care. I don't care. Go with me. Go with me. I don't like you.
Buddy what? I ain't your buddy. Your buddy's in your fucking... Your buddy's in your pants. I ain't your buddy.
I'm not gonna slow anything. You don't tell me what to do, sir. This is my freedom of speech. You don't like it? Get to work.
Get your face out of my face.
No, get your hand out of my face.
You came up to me.
Your
hands are in his face, sir.
Tell your boy, he puts his hands on me again illegally, I'm gonna fuck him up.
I'm here doing my job, working 12-hour shifts every day.
Yep, I'm doing my job.
You're garbage. Shut your mouth and go back to work.
What's your name?
What's your name?
It's my right. I make the quadruple as you. Have a nice day. You're rude. You look miserable in life.
I'm not detained. I'm not a suspect. If you touch me, we're gonna have problems. You're right. I'm allowed to defend myself.
You're a fucking lesbian. Wanna put my dick in you?
I'm suing everybody.
I'm suing everybody. Hey, how are you, sir? You there?
Yes, I am. What's up,
Hey,
David?
there you are. Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm going well. A bit tired. Friday, at the end of the week.
I can relate.
I'm kind of. That's why we're gonna step things up a little bit. I don't know if you saw today, but Surreal Cam, Joel Lopez released a video where he get on his ass.
And that is, isn't that so satisfying? It's like pulling the hair out of a.
We're gonna watch that real quick, just for fun. Will's gonna be here in a few minutes, and then we're gonna talk about auto law and interference. Because they wanted to pass a similar law in Texas, I think. Is it Texas?
Yeah. I've been watching that. That's happening right down the road for me because
yeah. So we're gonna talk about that. That's gonna be interesting. I released a video this morning. Just want to say hi, Mr. Thomas. What's up, buddy? This morning I released a video about this. I don't know if you saw it, about this complete moron interfering with the scene where there's like an active shooter.
Yeah, I did see that.
It's ridiculous, and that's what's gonna happen with frauditors. They're just gonna end up creating all those new laws, and they're gonna have to follow them. But not just them; everybody is gonna have to follow them. Like actual journalists gonna have to. I know a lot of people that are not happy with what's going on. That's for sure.
And I don't think they realize that their actions are actually causing more problems for them instead of less problems. They really are.
Absolutely. I don't know. Were they expecting the government to just be like, "Hey, let's change everything because those do."
They might put us on YouTube if we don't behave ourselves.
What they were expecting. Yeah. Will is here.
Oh,
hey,
wow.
buddy.
All right. Hey, well, how's it
listen,
going?
listen. I promise you. Let me explain. I'm coming home from work, and who's standing outside my job other than Eagle Nick? Oh, that's
no way.
I want to meet that damn there Frauditor Mania. Just kidding.
No
Real life,
way.
guys.
Sorry,
I'm here. I am here. A lot of yes dears and running up the steps. So here we are.
All right. So I was talking with David about what happened with Surreal Cam, Joel Lopez, or a good friend.
Oh man.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, let's just you know what? Let's just pop that.
Let's do it. No, totally.
Yeah,
Listen, I saw bits and pieces of it as I'm on my way home, and I'm like, yo, like,
well, that guy
this This is how it should be. No nonsense. Get right to the point and repercussions for lack of compliance. It's that simple.
Well, he was lucky he didn't get popped with a taser or something. I mean, a cop puts a gun at you and tells you to get on the ground. Guess what you do, folks? You get on the ground. You don't sit there and argue with him and want his badge and name, his name and badge number. Well, Joey probably asked for his name and badge and name number.
So here's my question. My question is after this, because of course, I'm going to sue the police for taking me to the ground. Is this not a perfect example of how the police can use non-lethal force to detain a non-compliant individual?
I hope they use that video. I hope they use that video for training later on how to handle these guys. That was textbook. That was really textbook as far as enforcement goes. That's exactly what
someone that is intentionally escalating and antagonizing the situation.
Also, guys, you have to understand, and I'm talking from a cop actually told me that it's the longer an interaction will go with someone who doesn't, not cooperate, is not being do not cooperate, the more dangerous it might end up being. You know what I mean? Exactly. So as soon as it's becoming more than a couple of minutes of back and forth, they're getting stressed. They just want to put some cuff on you because they have no idea where this is going to end. And so they create that situation by doing their little back and forth, their little the cops did the right thing. I think. Look, we're gonna watch it. So what I could see from the context, he was in a parking lot doing his filming in cop car.
Well, it's interesting at the beginning of that. He actually describes what he's going to do. He says, I'm going to go get I'm going to go record all these cars and their license plates, and then I'm slowly going to work my way inside. And then I'm going to eventually ask for a FOIA because that's the whole reason I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. That's not the reason. We all know it.
So annoying. Hey, Unclean Hands is in the house, guys.
Hey,
the legend himself. I'm standing right now. Unclean Hands.
Hey, Mr. Thomas is here. Hey, Mr. Thomas and Andrew. Hey, Jen is here. Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
A lot of fun people. So so basically, it's the stuff that they always do. Show up, film car, pretend to do a FOIA, all that stuff. So we're gonna get at the point where the cops show up in the parking lot. Yeah, go for it.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Just super quick.
Yeah.
Can we acknowledge that the whole filming inside cars is total BS?
Yeah,
if you ever noticed, that's crazy. That's usually the way they respond when they're butthurt. I'm gonna go film your cars, trying to be like, nah.
Well, you can tell. There's three ways to tell. There's 3 ways to tell for sure if they're losing. 1, they go film cars or license plates or whatever. 2, they sit there and describe how tyrannical everybody is. And 3, they start cussing and calling them names. You know that they have lost at that point. That's the last bastion of a frauditor.
GC News now does that when he's not happy. So we're gonna go film cars.
I know.
It's something. Anyway, so let's see what let's see that little nugget of entertainment here. I didn't saw it. It's gonna be fun.
Have we got sound?
Well, you don't have the sound right now?
No sound.
Yeah.
Shit. Wait. But I have the okay. I'm gonna remove it and re-put it.
Hello de Montreal, all my friends. I probably butchered that. Sorry.
Perfura.
Montreal.
It's Montreal.
Montreal.
No. It's Montreal.
Comment allez-vous?
All right. Where? Let's go.
Hello, mon amis.
You should have the sound. Let me tell.
What does that mean when I sit on the egg, Mr. Thomas? I still don't know what that means. What are you saying? What is it? I've been saying it for weeks.
That's weird.
Fun universe, that guy. Just tell me if you have the sound, guys. Hey, guys, just tell me if you have the sound right now.
Go ahead.
Put the gun away.
Yep, that sound.
Perfect. All right. Let's just
back up just a little, please. Yep.
Yeah. Let's go.
What is that guy yelling at? What? Who are you, man? Put the gun away, bro. Why? Put the gun away. Why are you pulling the gun out?
Get on the ground. Take your hands out of your pocket.
Look.
Get
hell's wrong with you? Call your supervisor, bro. What's your name and badge number? What's your name and badge number? Relax, bro. What's your name and badge number?
Relax, bro. What's your name and badge number? I'm sorry, I have to point it out. That's so stupid. What do you expect?
What? No, I'm not getting on the ground like a dog. Put the gun away. Look, my hands are out.
I'm telling you right now.
What? No, is that a lawful order? No, I'm not getting on. What if I don't? What if I don't? What if I don't? Put the gun away.
Yeah, right there.
You do not sit there and what an idiot.
What if I don't? Well, the whole "what if I don't" kills any lawsuit, because that right there is demonstrating that he did not comply with a lawful order. If he
no kidding,
and then he got tackled to the ground, then he could say, "Oh, police brutality." The fact that he said, "What if I don't?" That's it right there.
Yeah.
Well, and he said, "Get on the ground" like 5 times already,
at least.
Oh, chill out, man.
Chill out.
Oh, man. All right.
All right. Now that you
can we not agree?
All right.
I think you're going to see you're going to see the body cam footage, but it's going to demonstrate how officers work together, because you're going to see the officer intentionally occupies Joey so that he doesn't even he's not even aware.
He never even sees the guy in the back.
News Now Springfield. That was not a security guard. That was a police officer.
Yeah. Hi, Lisa.
Although there's nothing to talk about there, because in most states, security guards have complete authority to get physical with people if they have to. They can detain them. They can hold them for the police. In a lot of states, if they are licensed security agents, they can do anything a cop can, except and they can detain.
If it's in the realm of the resistance, right? It's limited to what the other person is doing.
Right. Especially
it is somewhat limited, but they can do it.
Municipality where they don't have police officers, they retain security guards. Like they have a right, as you said, if there is unlawful conduct taking place, to detain someone, to physically put cuffs on them, to have a firearm. They have the rights to do so.
And they have full authority to do it. So News Now Springfield, I recommend you do get on the ground if the security guard tells you to, because he can pop you too.
By the way, Lisa, you told us the other day that you're not going to make video with GC, and you still make video with GC.
You're still going out there.
Yeah, that's still going on. That's what's going on, Lisa. I thought you were separate or broke. Anyway, let's watch the rest of that thing.
Get your hand out of your pocket. 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 Get your hand out of your pocket right now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Take your hands out of your pocket. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. What the hell's wrong? Get on the ground, bro. I am the supervisor. Get on the ground. Badge number. What's your name? 276. I go there. What's your name and badge number? Go ahead and give me 1033. Get on the ground.
Slowly get on the ground. I love it.
Yeah.
Officer slowly fading into the cut.
Gonna get arrested. Get on the ground. I'm telling you right now. Get on the ground. That is a lawful order. Get on the ground. If I don't. Get on the ground. If I don't. Come here. Come here. What if I don't? Here. Put the gun away. Give me your hand. Oh, man. All right.
Well, that was by the book. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there was no
they didn't do a wrestling
soccer punch, nothing like that.
Yeah,
you know,
they didn't have to pick him up and slam him to the ground. They just directed his body to the ground by physical detainment. Looks good to me.
You know, Joey ought to create a new channel and call it Really Stupid News Now.
Oh, you gotta
his
scab on his knees. Boo-boo. You know, I know you get a boo boo on the knees, but his mother is gonna give a kiss on the boo boo, and he's gonna be gone. So it's okay.
His mother.
But he's got to know that what does he think is going to happen?
He thinks that he will get a case against the police for brutality.
Yeah,
and that they'll give him the business on the ground. You know, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it's.
That's why body cam is so good for police officers, because in a situation like this, he could say, "Yeah, they took me to the ground and beat the snot out of me." But the body cam is going to show he was refusing to go to the ground and obey a lawful order. They took him to the ground, put him in cuffs, and no one touched him.
Yeah, when I was a police chaplain, when the body cams were really coming in, the cops loved it because that could back up their story every time. The only cops that didn't like it were the few bad cops that really
the rogue
needed to be
ones.
removed anyway.
Yeah. No, most of them are happy with the camera to prove that exactly they didn't do something wrong. Oh, well, that was nice. That was fun.
I love the waddle of shame. I love it.
Oh, yeah, the waddle of shame. All right, well, cool. That was a little introduction. That was nice. Girl, Gen World, Joey is looking for the same as yeah. Thank you, by the way, for the $2. Very, very appreciate. Okay, so are we going back to the topic we're supposed to talk to?
Yeah, I mean that was a nice treat for the audience, but I'm really interested in that conversation.
Yeah, and that's something I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about.
Yeah,
I did a little research before the show, and this is a pretty general way. This is from the Connecticut General Statutes, but this is a pretty general. This is what most states have as the definition of interfering. Interfering with an officer under Connecticut General Statutes is a very broadly drafted criminal statute which makes it illegal to do virtually any act which obstructs or hinders a police officer. Since the statute is widely drafted, is a widely drafted catch-all statute, it is often abused by police officers. However, police officers have a wide discretion about interpreting what they feel is interfering with their duties.
And what's the key word? What's the key word that you said in that
discretion?
Well, discretion, any. That's even bigger to me because the frauditors say that interference is limited to one specific aspect of a traffic stop. But when it says any form, that's big because then when they say, oh, yeah, you're screaming and hollering at me can classify as interference. Yes, that's why the statute is broad and it makes it easier for the officers, at least.
And there's a lot of things people don't think about. Like, some good examples would be like if you refuse to comply with an officer's order to remain outside a location or a certain perimeter or providing a false name, like all these idiots who go, oh, just call me good citizen. That's classic interfering right there. You can be arrested for a felony for that. Persistently, if you start voicing concerns about what the cop's doing in a way that distracts them or disrupts the situation or draws them in any way from their duties. It's just, it can be verbal. Look, ask Sean Reyes about that. He got convicted and had to, part of his plea deal was he had to write a letter of apology for interfering with a police officer verbally.
This is getting sad because they're literally creating the tyranny that they're working so hard to make us believe that we're living in, and they're like creating it because they're going to come up with so much freaking little law that in 2 years they're going to arrest a guy just because he's going to say something like call me good citizen, and it's going to be Beth, arrest right away. That's insane. You know what I mean? And they literally create the worst possible scenario for their grift. It's amazing.
Hey, GJM and Son of Ramen both came in. Hey guys.
All right. So are we
John Legato talks a lot about this too. Anything that interferes with duties is interfering. Period. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It does not have to be a physical act. It can be a verbal act. It can be anything that distracts the officer and threatens the safety of the officer or the people they're dealing with.
Let's check a little bit the video from Tones Overthinkers because
my hero,
as he say himself in this intro, it's something when guys like us talk about it, but it's something else when the actual freaking government talk about it and it's starting to make things happen. I would be scared if I would be those guys. Things is getting real for them. Right. Yeah.
Tones is the man.
Yeah, he never replied to my email though. So Tones, if you listen to me right now, just reply, buddy. What's up? I'm a good guy. All right.
It's one thing to listen to the lofty opinions of a simple content creator like myself. It's another matter entirely when this discussion is suddenly being had in the halls of government, which is exactly what took place last week in Texas, where new legislation in the form of House Bill 3565 is currently being considered. This bill calls for an increase in punishment for the act of interference with public duties, from a simple misdemeanor to a felony, in which the state can sentence one to more harsh fines and longer jail time. So for this video, I'll be presenting footage from the Texas Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence, where this bill is being discussed. We will hear from both sides of the argument, those who are in support of it and those who are opposed.
Chair lays out House Bill 3565. I recognize Chairman Cook to explain the bill.
Thank you, Chairman Louderback and members for the opportunity to present House Bill 3565. I'll be quick and know that others are waiting, but basically currently under Section 38.15A of the Penal Code, a person commits the Class B offense of interference with public duties if they disrupt, interrupt, impede, or interfere with the following public servants while they are conducting their official duties: peace officers or police canines, EMS and fire, animal control, and county public health, environmental, radiation, or safety officials. For these public servants, every day and every counter on the job is inherently dangerous, as you know, Chairman. Specifically for law enforcement, when an officer is working a traffic stop or accident scene, dealing with an outside party who is screaming or encroaching the officer's physical space can cause unnecessary distractions and escalation. Additionally, the officer may have to call for backup to deal with the outside party, taking precious resources away from other emergency calls. In Tarrant County, some individuals actively seek out opportunities to interfere with law enforcement during service calls, film the encounters, and post them to YouTube, where the footage is monetized. The current criminal penalty
CFW. No, that's not directed at her, and that's because Tarrant County's Fort Worth. I cannot believe that woman is from my hometown. That is so embarrassing.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, sorry, David.
Class B misdemeanor, and this bill simply moves to a state jail felony. While the First Amendment protects the right to film law enforcement interactions, the right should not extend to behavior which obstructs a public servant's ability to do their job. Members, I'll be glad to answer any questions. This bill was brought to us by the Tarrant County District Attorney.
And one thing I need to point out, hey, stop it for a second, Exposer. One thing I need to point out is that they're not changing any of the content about what the crime actually is. They're just changing they're just enhancing the consequences and the penalties for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that the guy asked here in a minute.
Yeah, they didn't create anything. This is all the same stuff that was already there. They're just
trying to enhance the penalties so that people like Carolina, Fort Worth will think twice.
So they don't get a slap on the wrist and walk away.
Well, one thing they don't think about, though, I've said this other places, they do not think about the long term. None of these guys think past the end of tomorrow anyway, but they don't think. Yes, they might get their fines paid. If their followers are that dumb to donate money, whatever. But they're going to have that criminal record for all the things they've done for the rest of their lives. And what happens once frauding's over and the world has moved on and they have to go find a job? What are they going to do with that criminal record hanging around their neck? It's just unreal.
Yeah, it is. They're all going to finish like JC News now in a garage, smoking cigarette, being mad, calling the sheriff. It's going to be sad.
Or be like JC News now, still living in his mom's basement when he's 55.
Yeah.
No, he's living in Lucky Laptop ceiling. We acknowledge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Why?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Sorry, I knew that.
And would be glad to answer any questions. Would like an opportunity to close when appropriate. And this bill has been passed by the Senate in the form of Senate Bill 1208 and is in the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee at this time.
You don't touch any of the conduct related to interference.
Yeah, there you go.
That's correct. We strike three words and swap out Class B misdemeanor with state jail felony. That's it. Yeah.
And this Senate bill is identical to that. It doesn't tinker with the underlying offense.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So as Chairman Cook makes clear, the offense itself and what constitutes that offense still remain the same. Law enforcement, and by extension the prosecutor, has to establish that someone has committed this offense in order to be charged with it and convicted. What this bill proposes to change is making that punishment upon conviction more severe. The reason something like this would even have to be considered is better explained by the next person to speak.
So my name is Bill Vassar. I've been a prosecutor at the Tarrant County DA's office for over 22 years. And I want to tell you all what I've been telling the juries the past 2 years when I've been trying these cases. Nobody is saying you can't film the police. Sadly, whether we like it or not, nobody is saying you can't cuss, scream at, or antagonize the police. What we are saying is you just can't interfere with their ability to investigate a case. What we are seeing in Tarrant County are individuals are inserting themselves on traffic stops. They're inserting themselves on domestic violence investigations. They're inserting themselves on warrant search.
Shout out to Carolina. Keep your good work. Keep your good work.
Service where police officers are trying to arrest violent fugitives. They're running up to police officers with their cameras. They are screaming at them. They are cussing at them. They're demanding their name and badge number, and they are physically getting in their investigation. And the problem with that is it's a public safety issue, because I'm amazed in the 20 or 30 cases that I've dealt with in Tarrant County that nobody's gotten hurt. So why do we need?
And there's like million of videos to prove everything you just said it is.
And folks on the other side will sit there and go, "Whoa, that cop got fired because of all that." Yeah, he did, but he got fired because of stuff that had nothing to do with that. He had a long record of bad behavior to begin with, and that was just the last straw.
And they documented it. And that's what that's what's so nonsensical about fraud. They document every crime they've ever committed. So it's that simple to find a track record or a pattern.
And it's got to be easy to prosecute. Can you just imagine? Oh, they videotaped it for us. Okay, great. That's nice. Thank you so much for your participation and your conviction.
Why do we need to make this a felony? Because we are just having the same group of people are getting arrested over and over again. A couple days in the Tarrant County jail is worth it for them to post it on YouTube and make money off of it. So we're very in support of this bill. I would just ask that you consider this, because I think we really need to give our men and women in blue just a little breathing room when they're conducting investigations. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So the guy clearly stated, you still can film, you still can cuss, call them all the name in the book, but you cannot get yourself in the middle of it, basically.
Right.
That's it.
Well, not even that, and then if you do, it's not just going to be a couple of days in jail. Like, how many times they go to jail for a day, they're released, and they put out a live stream, and then people start sending them money on their like actual felonies.
Well, what they're talking about making it is kind of unique to Texas. I don't think every state has it. It's called a state jail felony. And a state jail felony is not a full-blown felony, but it's also not a misdemeanor. It's in between. You can get up to 2 years in jail. You can get I forget what the fine. It's a pretty substantial fine. I forget exactly what it is, but it's no joke. I mean, you can get up to 2 years in a state jail. They actually have state jail prisons. It's a specific. It's not the really bad ones in Huntsville, but it's not the county jail either. It's pretty serious.
Yeah, the punishment is bigger. That I understand, but he still said you can still be swear at cops and everything. Like, this is still okay, right? He said that, right?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, that's for the first up to a point. Now, I mean, there is a point where that becomes harassment, no matter who you're doing it to. It doesn't have to be the cops.
Yeah.
I mean, free speech is not unlimited.
Even though that is the case, David, even in a lot of these cases, it's not the harassment that they ever get arrested for. It's for the interference. You could say, yeah, it's a sign of harassment, but you have to use the same language. You have to use the language that it's interference. How can an officer investigate, like they said, domestic violence cases? I've seen them go up and they're like we're investigating a domestic violence case. We need you to give us some space, and they're still walking around cussing and screaming and yelling at the officer. Like, that is when it becomes legitimate interference, taking them physically away from what they're trying to accomplish in their investigation. So, I mean, look, I just posted a video today. The frauder got arrested at the P. Diddy protests yesterday. And it's like, yeah, people screaming and cussing at the cops the whole time. That's not the issue necessarily. It's when you do it to a point when it takes the officer's attention physically away from what they're investigating. Right. And that's what this bill is going to eliminate.
We hope.
Are there frauders that dumb to go to jail for 2, 3, 4 months at a time? Yes. Thousands of dollars to the municipality just for one video.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll bankrupt them because their videos won't be able to cover it.
Clearly. All right, let's listen to a couple of questions.
This point in particular is something I've already discussed in a previous video, where there is a woefully imbalanced cost-benefit ratio when it comes to frauditors being held accountable for their actions and the rewards they get from posting it on YouTube. The fact of the matter is, we're dealing with people who think that the getting arrested, probably paying a fine, maybe even seeing a day or two in jail is insufficient to deter them from committing this action again the next day. I mean, how many times have we seen frauditors get arrested for committing a crime while in the middle of facing charges and going in and out of court for committing that same crime once or even twice over prior? And how many times do we see, because it's a simple misdemeanor, those charges get dismissed because they run out the clock by just causing delays, or they simply don't show up to court and just go to another state, and the failure to appear warrant is simply not severe enough for police to go through the effort to arrest and extradite them. The simple unfortunate truth is,
clear water.
frauditors are no longer deterred by this punishment. Most of them are already criminals, some having served time for more severe crimes.
No, not
so
that
from their
comment.
perspective, it's really nothing to them. It's simply the cost of doing business. And it's because of this, a serious discussion now has to be had on whether or not the laws need to change. And with that, all of the time and resources that are required from our tax dollars have to be spent now answering this question. And whatever results from this could have serious repercussions.
So, Mr. Ambassador, I had similar concern to Representative Moody. I think you could probably tailor this to peace officers in A1 and be better off. Certainly, I agree with you. It can endanger officers. One of the concerns that I have is the breadth of the statute as it relates to interrupting, disrupting, impeding, or otherwise interfering with. And it seems to me that captures a broad range of conduct, right? How are peace officers trained on what constitutes a violation of this provision? Because it's pretty easy to imagine an interruption of a peace officer.
Sure.
And it certainly different from an assault or a true interference preventing a police officer from handcuffing somebody or something along those lines. So can you just explain that to me?
Sure. I can explain what Fort Worth PD is training their officers to do.
Okay.
Fort Worth PD is telling their officers, find a line of demarcation, meaning that chair right there. Sir, you're welcome to film over there, but you've got to stay by that chair. Okay. So that's what we are training them to do. The problem is, these individuals are not doing that, right? These officers are having to say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, you've got to stand over there. They give individuals multiple times. And then they finally say, look, if you do it one more time, we're going to arrest you. So these officers are trained to really, tell them to stay over there, be calm with them. They're welcome to film, but they've got to get out of their investigation.
Now, I'm prepared to admit that those concerns brought in that question are valid. However,
Agreed.
the response, to me, that pretty much sums up what we've seen in every single frauditor video. Law enforcement is being trained to consider the First Amendment and understand that, yeah, you have a right to film. Yes, you have a right to your opinion. But there are and should be a limit on how much you can encroach upon law enforcement in the course of their duties. If they're conducting an investigation, if they're detaining a suspect, if they're dealing with a situation where people's lives are at risk or may have already been lost. Law enforcement has no inherent opposition to filming them. It's more of simply stay out of their way and make sure they don't have to worry about you and what's in front of them, which I think any rational and logical person, and obviously frauditors are excluded from that, would find perfectly reasonable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Little, as well. Thank you for your testimony, and I guess I just have questions about the line of demarcation.
Sure. Pause super quick.
What is the number, or is there a space?
Because Stingray said something interesting, and there's that second aspect when it comes to quote-unquote interference, and I think is very important that this bill will also address. The second part is give advice to the person the cop is dealing with. How many times do we see the frauditors giving directives to the person that's being detained by the officers? No, the officer says, let me see your ID. Nah, you don't have to ID. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to search your vehicle. Nah, you don't have to let them search your car.
Yeah.
And so tell me right there how that is not classified as obstruction.
Well, it is obstruction. I mean, it's
I'm not physically preventing you or the suspect from blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying it's my free speech.
If nothing else, they're practicing law without a license, period. They're giving legal advice.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I just think this bill, I don't think this bill addresses that directly, because they're as Tone said, they're introducing the concept that free speech is free speech. Free speech is allowed.
The bill already addresses a lot of stuff. Like I said, they're not monkeying with the content of the bill.
I understand. I understand it. Yeah,
with the consequences,
the repercussions. Yeah, which is good, which is fine. The point is, it's good that the repercussions are being raised, because then it emboldens the officer to really put their foot down when they say, "Hey, you're interfering by yelling at the person that I've detained, telling them to defy what I'm telling them to do." And because the standard is that much higher, it'll be enforced. So I think that's an interesting
point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm hopefully more municipalities develop this because of what the auditors are doing. And here's the thing: we cover these large channels, but I've seen on YouTube now, I'm recommended people with 2 subscribers doing the same thing. More people are going out and just cursing and yelling and screaming at the police for no reason whatsoever, just because they see Sean Paul Reyes or Carolina Fort Worth doing it.
Yeah,
so this is
that's the video I released today, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a reoccurring issue where society is doing this because of these idiots that they see online, and the law enforcement has to get on top of it. And this bill, laying the law down that, hey, you're not going to just spend a couple days in jail. There are going to be major repercussions.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of this is a direct result of Carolina Fort Worth nonsense.
No, everyone's saying the same thing. Absolutely. I've seen her walk right up to the officer right in the middle of the crime scene and refuse to leave. Oh, why? Tell me why. Why do I have to leave? I don't want to leave.
The law.
Oh, I'm going to stand right here. Okay, fine. I'll take 2 steps back. Okay, I'm out of your crime scene. What's the problem? What do you think you're arresting me?
For me, it's very simple. Is the moment the moment they speak to the cop or the person into the scene, you know, like the cop was talking to, that's it. Like you cannot talk to me or the person I'm talking to right now. That's it. You say whatever you want to yourself or your friend on the sidewalk. I don't care. But the second you're gonna talk to me directly or the person I'm talking to, then you're interfering, and that's it. You know, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Just don't talk to me. That's it. You know, film me. Say whatever you want. Don't talk to me. Don't get in my space. That's
because
it. It's so simple for me. Like the line is there. That's it. If I have to talk to you, you're interfering.
Right. Thank you. That's it. Right.
That's
there.
the end of it. That's the end of it. That you're polite or not polite. That you use a soft voice or not a soft voice. I don't care. I have to talk to you right now. You're interfering. Get in the. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Because how many times do we see videos where the auditor will start off by just quietly filming the police and there's no interaction? Nothing happens. The officer lets them do what they're doing. Then the moment the auditor starts shouting at them or starts walking close to them, that's when the fireworks start.
That's it. There should be no back and forth, none of that stuff. If I'm a cop, I'm on a scene, I'm investigated, or I'm doing my job on my duty, and I have to stop it for any reason to take care of you for any reason. Well, that's it. You're interfering. And a guy like, imagine like the Siberian tiger, like he live out of.
Oh my God,
that's all he does, man. You know what I mean? And that's simple as that. You talk to me, that's it. Because at one point they're always gonna push the line. They're always gonna go with this long back and forth. That's never gonna end. And then every time they're gonna have an arrest, even if they make the punishment even stronger, then it means it's gonna go in front of a judge, and they're gonna it's gonna become everything's gonna be more complicated.
And I cannot figure out the Siberian putty cat needs to get some counseling. That man has got more anger than any other 45 people I know. It's really
that guy, yeah, I know.
It's just really sad.
I posted this old video from a year ago, and I posted it because it's relevant. Where literally he shows up trying to get a police report and tells the woman, I'm going to be rude to you, and you have to accept it. And don't even expect me to be nice to you. I'm going to be as rude to you as possible. That's like, where do you have all this pent-up hate and frustration? Like, where's that coming? Where's that coming from?
Well, he's from.
And there's this whole idea. I think one of the things that drives the interference, what we're talking about, and also the stuff he pulls and the other stuff is, it's really simply that they seem to this whole idea of public servants being their slaves or something, that because they're a taxpayer, they have some sort of authority over the people who get paid by the state. They don't. The only thing being a taxpayer gives you the authority to do is pay taxes. That's it. Because everybody pays taxes, so they have to listen to everybody. I don't think so. No, that's why we have elections.
The people that pay the taxes have to pay taxes too. They're not exempt from paying taxes.
Oh no, but that's from the money they get from us.
Yeah, but no, that doesn't work, man, because you pay taxes from my taxes, so it's not real taxes.
That's ridiculous. That's stupid.
No. This is not. Stop it. I'm kidding.
Oh, hey, Exposure, did you see the new headline? You ought to bring up my newspaper there.
Oh, wait.
Just drag it in place of the one that's there.
Man, I don't even know. What do you mean?
David, he might not be at switch places with David where you are. Switch the screen.
Bring mine up.
Anyway, I see that Joey Surreal came arrested for being really stupid, short sight, and arrogant. Well, that's pretty. That's good journalism right there.
That's about right.
It's on the front page of the London Telegraph too. That's pretty neat.
That's he's becoming the story I always dream he would be someday. Great guy. Great guy.
Space that you think is significant?
So there's no bright line rule. And I think Florida right now is trying to pass maybe a 10 or 15 yard barrier. But in Texas, we don't have a bright line rule. So what Fort Worth PD is trying to say,
you're not sharing your
tree, pick a line in the...
Sorry, man. Sorry. Pick a line. So they don't want to give like a real, like a 15-foot or a 20-foot. It's just like pick up something and stay next to it. That's never going to work.
Well, it gives the cops more discretion that way. If you don't have a set limit, like Florida decided on 25 feet, which happened, I think, right after this committee hearing. But, if you just set a reasonable distance standard, then the cops have a lot more discretion about what they can get people to do.
You know how they are, man. Like, why would I hang out next to the tree? Why that tree? That tree is so random.
Well, here's the thing.
Why not that tree? You know what I mean?
I've seen cases in some states where they have already implemented a foot, quote unquote, rule. If they have to extend their crime scene, then they'll say, nope, it says 10 feet. I'm standing 10 feet. I'm standing in the crime scene because it's 10 feet. And if I no, 10 feet from the, nope, you said 10 feet from where you were. I'm standing 10 feet.
That's true.
So that's why a lot.
But they're not gonna accept to go to 20 or 25 feet either. They're gonna say it's too far. So I mean, they're never gonna.
But it's not reasonably. It's not. If you're just trying to film the interaction,
no, it's not.
25 feet is more than reasonable.
But the legal bottom line in most states is this: you have to do what a cop says, when they say it, how they say it, as they say it, every time they say it, in the manner they say it. Period. If you want to argue about it later in court, that's fine. But you do not sit there and do what these guys do, and that's the real problem with all this interference, is that it distracts them from what they were already doing before these clowns show up and start yelling at them. It's unsafe, it's illegal, it's unconstitutional. I mean, we have a constitution and laws, and we elect leaders who pass those laws for a reason, and these guys just don't get that.
And by the way, it's downright dangerous because the video I released this morning, there's an active shooter and they F around with the cops for a while. Oh, you bully me, you push me away, and then they hear the freaking gunshot and then they just run away in their car. They're like, oh my God. See, sometimes it's not just, cops, sometimes they're all like doing real stuff. It's not always just
they actually have jobs. They're actually performing a job.
Sometimes there's stuff going on that is more serious than your little YouTube video, and they don't have time to explain it to you, and they don't have to. So, I was amazed myself when I saw the video the first time on the channel of that person. I was like, you needed to hear the gunshot to realize it's serious. This is where we are,
in the concrete or a car, something roughly 10 yards for them to stay behind and film. And what's really amazing to me is that it's pretty impressive that when our officers are getting screamed at, that they are able to remain calm, say, look, sir, you're welcome to film over there. You just got to stand over there.
Thank you. And I appreciate that because I guess I'm thinking about the de-escalation in that point in time when that person comes up and sees something that they think is out of line or whatnot. And, I think about my own family that's in law enforcement and that it could create a public safety issue. But I also have concerns because I feel like if they're filming and if no one catches it, then when something is out of line and it would not be reported, it would go unreported.
Absolutely. And again, in what I've been telling juries the past 2 years, nobody's saying you can't film. That is 2025. We have that right. Everybody has cell phones. It's just if an officer is conducting a traffic stop, right, and I'm the officer and I'm talking to somebody in a car, you can't be right here with a phone in my face screaming at me, right? And because what happens, obviously, is the officer turns to address that individual. Now they're not worrying about their investigation.
Right.
That's it right there. That's it right there.
That's a great definition of interfering right there.
And that's exactly the
Let
point.
me see if I can touch on exactly.
Yeah. Sorry. No.
That's exactly what I have been screaming about on my videos since I started this channel. The moment the officer turns their attention away from what they're investigating to the frauditor, that is physical. They physically are no longer engaged in their investigation and have to focus on the auditor. That is a physical interference.
Well, because it's funny when frauditors say that, like, I have to push you or to tackle you. It's are you serious?
Do you guys remember? And I put this in the video I did today about David that got arrested in New York. When the group of misfits got arrested New Year's Eve, where Creepy David had his quote unquote.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
What it was that got the other David arrested was when he tried to grab, and then he put his hand on the officer.
Yeah.
And video people were like, okay, fine. That is interference, but then you just grab the officer. But, like, anyway,
actually, what's going on here in open air investigations or open air inquisitions, wherever we're being called for service, if you direct someone to go behind that chair in open air, they simply move the chair.
Right.
So it's a
it
usually results.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. No matter the kind of limitation you're gonna give to a frauditor, you're just gonna, argue about it and push it away. If you tell him to go to behind a tree, you're just gonna cut the tree and walk with it all over the place. You know what I mean? They're gonna find a way. Josh Abrahams will freaking cut a tree and walk with it all over a place. He will do that.
Very, very decidedly into a call for additional units. And we actually are running into situations where investigations can't continue until other units get there, hold the crowd back, or a developing crowd situation. So these things are ever growing, especially in open air areas. So where crowds have congregated or begin to congregate. So this is would you agree with that? This is what we're seeing over and over again.
Absolutely. And it's also a resource situation because a recent case that I tried, it was merely a DWI investigation, and we had 2 people showing up filming. Well, now because it's one officer with a DWI investigation, we have to have backup, right? Yeah. Oftentimes these interference cases, they turn into resisting cases. That is additional officers. In addition, these people, as part of their play with the police, then they're demanding a supervisor. So then that means a sergeant or
that dude watch a lot of those videos. He knows everything, all the little thing.
Lieutenant now has to come out to the scene to deal with that person. So it's, in lack of a better terms, it's really taking officers off the street.
Once again, perfectly summarizing what we see in almost every frauditor and police encounter. And my takeaway from this is the fact that this isn't just some kooky internet fad anymore. This is becoming a topic of serious discussion, one that has an impact on law enforcement policy and is being looked at seriously by legislators, officers of the court, and law enforcement officials.
Have you seen an increase in this and like over what time period? I guess because, as you said, ADA, that we're looking at now people have cell phones.
Right. I would say for and I'm just going to speak to Tarrant County and Fort Worth. I would say the past 2 years, this is really becoming a problem. And they kind of work in a network because they all have YouTube channels. So they'll be in Fort Worth one weekend, they'll be in Houston the next, then they'll be in Austin because, they're monetizing this.
Thank you.
Boy, is that a good point too. That's YouTube has a certain amount of responsibility in all this. They really do.
It's a private company, and
they still have responsibility for encouraging it. I mean, if there wasn't
they're not encouraging it. That's the thing. They're not offering special whatever. It's like you can monetize so many things on that, and pranking and all that stuff, and they go with it. They cannot draw the line nowhere, and they don't feel it's their responsibility to do so. A company like that, I know I work for a company like that. As long nobody's gonna tell them you have to stop by the law, they're not gonna stop, man. Come on, I mean, this they have a part of responsibility, but in the meantime, you have to understand the world we're living in. You know what I mean? They're not gonna stop because it's ethical. You know,
well,
Exactly.
it took them, man. Okay, YouTube. It took years and years before they finally, and it was a big deal before they finally stopped monetizing videos where people were saving animal, because those people were putting the animal in the situation that they needed to save them from. And they were losing a lot of animal from that, and it became a huge case of animal cruelty. I think it took like a year and a half of 2 years before YouTube finally went like, all right, we're gonna stop monetizing that. They're very slow. So pranking stuff like frauditors do, that's gonna take. They never. No, it's not gonna.
Well, that's kind of what I'm afraid of, though. Somebody's going to have to die before they do something about it, and that's
There you go. There you go. Yeah, if it get in the news, like let's say there's a shootout with a frauditor or something like that, something huge, and it get mainstream, yeah, then stuff will happen, of course. But as long as it's just like a little thing on the side like that, and everybody's kind of make money out of it, YouTube's not gonna stop none of it.
That's probably true.
Thank you all very much.
Now, in the interest of fair play, we're also going to go over the response from a party that is opposed to it. Fortunately, it's not some frauditor off the street going into grandstand and make a fool of themselves.
We show you registered
can you pause real quick?
from the Texas Civil Rights Project.
That's such a good comment. That's such a good comment, because that's the truth. When they're spending a night in jail and a slap on the wrist, like $500 fine, is nothing, because some of these auditors make really good money. Let's be honest, they make really good money.
Really good, real.
When you're slapped with a $15,000 fine, or so I'm just throwing numbers, I don't know the numbers, but like when you're slapped with like an expensive fine, and
the donation get higher, then they just receive more. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think it'll get to the point where it could bankrupt frauditors, where there are some auditors that once they get arrested and they start, for example, Creepy David doesn't get arrested like he used to. Why? Because he's been in jail so many times.
He couldn't afford it. Yeah,
couldn't afford it. Yeah. The other guy, Teflon,
yeah,
whatever his name is. You know, he hasn't posted on his channel in a year. It's crazy. Like a year he hasn't posted. I think he's done like a live stream or two, but he hasn't posted a video in a year because he was getting arrested and had to pay all this money out. This comment is absolutely legit. A person could bankrupt themselves by constantly getting arrested if implemented, where there are higher repercussions.
To connect that with what we're just saying before, you have more chance that the government is gonna, pass some whatever that's gonna give more bigger fees or bigger this and that. Then YouTube stop to paying for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. You're not gonna stop a company to make money, but we might at least punish the people that receive it at least a lot more. So that's where it might work. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. But look like the government. It starts like that, and government is a very, very slow machine. It's huge. It takes a lot of time before it starts to move. But when it started and when it's on the roll, I mean, there's nothing to stop it. Those dudes, they're gonna realize that things gonna start to happen now slowly, but before you know it, it's gonna be everywhere.
Yes, sir.
You are testifying on for or against House Bill 3565? Against.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And this lady is from the Texas Civil Rights Project, which is a serious organization. They do good work. I don't agree with her on this one, but they do a lot of good work.
For the offense of interference with public duties from a Class B, which is 180 days in jail, up to a $2,000 fine, to a state jail felony, which is
I'm sorry. Can you back up like 15 seconds? I'm sorry.
Testifying on for or against House Bill 3565? Against.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
HB 3565 increases the criminal penalty for the offense of interference with public duties from a Class B, which is 180 days in jail, up to a $2,000 fine, to a state jail felony, which is up to 2 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. Interfering with public duties is broadly defined as a person who interrupts, disrupts, impedes, or otherwise interferes with a peace officer while the officer is performing a duty. People who film the police or protest are often charged with this offense. Protesting and recording police officers are both protected speech under the First Amendment and should not be considered felonious conduct. As the previous witness stated, there is no bright line rule for uniform training for this type of offense. I'm aware of situations where officers who do not want to be filmed, period, or at all, have used this as a weapon against the person who is filming. We are completely against trying to increase the criminal penalties for what is not only protected speech, but what is oftentimes nonviolent conduct that poses no threat to law enforcement. This will have a chilling effect on the rights that we all hold near and dear to us. People will be deterred from holding officers accountable and protesting in fear of being stamped as a felon for the rest of their lives. Rather than punishing citizens for the nonviolent conduct, we should be encouraging this type of conduct. For these reasons, we are opposed to.
Okay, so
yeah,
I mean this in the most respectful way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I can say this because it's not like I'm being derogative towards her or whatever. I think she believes that by her using a lot of words, she sounds like she thinks she's making a good point, but everything that she's saying is going against her quote unquote argument opposing this.
Yeah,
Number
right.
one,
Right.
and I got to listen to it again, but I can't quote it word for word. But she begun by stating that interference is. I'm sorry. Can you just go back to the beginning? I'm sorry. Go 45 seconds because I want to get the wording correct. That's right there. Right. Yeah.
Against.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
HB 3565 increases the criminal penalty for the offense of interference with public duties from a Class B, which is 180 days in jail, up to a $2,000 fine, to a state jail felony, which is up to 2 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. Interfering with public duties is broadly defined as a person who interrupts, disrupts, impedes, or otherwise interferes with a peace officer while the officer is performing duty.
I'm sorry. Can you pause it? I'm sorry. So what did she say interference is? Interrupts, impedes. What was the other word that she said? That's in the code. The key word is interrupts or impedes. She says that's the lawful definition of interference. What would you then classify standing in the middle of a crime scene, screaming obscenities at an officer tells you to step back while I'm in my investigation, and they say no? Is that interrupting? Is that impeding? Like, am I wrong, guys? Or
no,
you're right. You're right.
No,
Yeah.
and play on because it's another thing that she says shortly. I'm sorry.
Do you want me? Sorry, I missed the last thing you said, man.
I said play.
Okay.
Again? Oh, I thought my internet
People
died
who
again.
film the police or protest or
So you want me to play it again?
Yeah. No. Play on. I said.
Okay. Because the thing she said at the beginning is obstruct, impede, and interfere.
That's what I said. Did you not hear that?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to make sure we heard the same thing.
are often charged with this offense. Protesting and recording police officers are both protected speech under the First Amendment and should not be considered felonious conduct.
Protesting and observing. That's not what auditors are doing by cussing, screaming, yelling, and giving directives to people that are being investigated and standing in between the cop car and the car that they're investigating.
There's a big difference between a protest and a riot. And
you think?
That's not an but that's
also I don't like the fact like she's gonna this is what she's gonna say. She said like we cannot give them that power because some cops are gonna abuse it because they don't want to be filmed.
Well, I mean you're not a valid point with that, but
you have to give them the tools to do their job. And if somebody abuse, then go to freaking court or whatever. I mean, but you cannot like deprive them of a full freaking system to protect the thing because one guy doesn't like to be filmed, so he's gonna use it. And she's gonna I don't know if she just said it, but she's gonna say it. And
keep playing because it's another thing.
Misconduct. As the previous witness stated, there is no bright line rule for uniform training for this type of offense. I'm aware of situations where officers who do not want to be filmed, period, or at all, have used this as a weapon against the person who is filming. We are completely against trying to increase the criminal penalties for what is not only protected speech, but what is oftentimes nonviolent conduct.
Yeah, but it's
that
not
poses no threat to law enforcement.
speech.
No, David, you cut it up. Can you back it up 5 seconds? I want to play that specific tidbit. And David, it's exactly what you're saying.
Person who is filming.
But play it.
for this type of offense. I'm aware of situations where officers who do not want to be filmed, period, or at all, have used this as a weapon against the person who is filming. We are completely against trying to increase the criminal penalties for what is not only protected speech, but what is oftentimes nonviolent conduct that poses no threat to law enforcement.
Right
This
there,
will have a chilling
effing there.
Yep.
It poses a huge threat to law enforcement. What if what happens is they're investigating a situation, someone that has a concealed firearm, and we go, oh, it's a puppy. Hi, puppy. But someone has a concealed firearm, and then a frauditor comes up, gets the officer's attention away, and then the person pulls the firearm on the officer. Is that not a potential dangerous situation? Or when
in Dallas this summer, where the officer was just sitting there in his car writing a report, and the guy came up and blew him away.
Or Exposé's video today, dude walks into a crime scene where there's an active shooter, and because the officers can't investigate the active shooter, the shooter is able to shoot again into the crowd.
Yeah, imagine how like this video that is very funny, by the way, but imagine if one of them would have like eat a bullet. I mean, this is something else suddenly. It's,
and then they'll blame the police for not protecting them.
Yeah, obviously. Come on.
And Raul said it perfectly.
Effect on the right.
This proves that she has never watched a simple 1A video.
Yeah, because
no clue what she's
exactly.
talking about.
Exactly. It's
That was
not
why I said, and I
peaceful.
Right. And that's why I said
sorry.
I was you're fine. That's why I was saying I wasn't trying to be derogative towards her.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she's a beautiful, intelligent young lady, but quite frankly, she's using a lot of words and has no idea what she's actually saying. And look, I'm a young black man. I can say it. I'm not discriminating against her. I'm just saying I think she's talking out of her rear, quite frankly.
Well, everything she said is what they hide behind to do their little prank.
But she's not saying anything substantial. She's regurgitating what auditors said. What auditors get up and say to city council.
Reciting the script. You're right. She is.
Yeah. All
right.
Let's finish that. It's like
that
3
we
minutes.
all hold
3
near
minutes
and
away.
dear to us. People will be deterred from holding officers accountable and protesting. In
She
fear of
can't even
being
say the
filmed
word
as a felon for
deterred
the rest of their
correctly.
lives.
She said deterred. It's not deterred.
Well, guys, come on.
For her and said, "Hey, here's $100. Go read this in front of council." She can't even read it. I'm sorry.
Rather than punishing citizens for the nonviolent conduct, we should be encouraging this type of conduct. For these reasons, we are opposed to
encouraging this type of conduct. And then imagine how fun it would be. Imagine every traffic stop surrounded by 30 maniacs yelling all at once. That's so good. That's perfect. That's the world I want to live in, guys. This is insane. You are about to say something, Will, before I play?
No, I'm like someone paid her to say that. Someone paid her $100.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, that was the identical bill. HV 3565. Thank you.
Now that we have heard the opposition, it may come as a surprise to you that I'm not entirely in disagreement on what she said.
Yeah.
Yes, while frauditors are not deterred very much by the current punishment, and it is a serious question to ask whether or not we should increase that punishment to create deterrence, and it may very well work if we do. But she is correctly pointing out that doing this will have an impact on people who aren't frauditors, people who do.
That's what I said at the beginning.
Everything they do is going to have an impact.
Exactly. They're not the only one who's going to pay. You know, I'm working with journalists, and they hate that stuff, man. They don't want it. Oh, man. They're ruining it. That's what we said for like. I started a year ago, Will, I don't know, a year and a half or something like that. This is all we said since the beginning. You're going to make it so much worse. And now I'm watching that video. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Who legit exercise their First Amendment rights. And considering the state of things presently, people are going to be doing that a lot in the months and possibly years to come. So it goes without saying that we really should consider the broader implications. Now, there's no way to know for sure if this bill would pass. At the time of recording this, I have not heard any news if it will pass or if it dies in committee.
Last
but
I
the
heard,
fact of the matter
in
is,
committee. So,
sorry, David, I missed that.
Last I heard, the bill was still stuck in the House committee, committee on criminal justice.
Of course.
This bill has come into existence purely because of frauditors. And thus we come to the subject of this video. This is happening. This discussion, all of this, is taking place because of frauditors, because of their misappropriation of the First Amendment and its outright abuse, is causing us now to question if the virtue of unrestricted free speech can and could possibly be outweighed by society's need for order, safety, and security. If I were to put this into layman's terms, effectively they're screwing around with the First Amendment to the point where it could potentially ruin it for the rest of us who don't screw around with it, for those of us who actually use it responsibly. And
I'm pissed off, guys. This is my life, man. This is my day-to-day job. This is my career. This is the people I work with. The two most important thing for us is freedom of speech, freedom of press. This is killing me right now.
Bear in mind, this can happen to any number of rights, whether it's free speech, owning a firearm, being able to appeal and re-argue and delay anything in court. These things exist legitimately for our protection. And as we're learning, they only exist if the powers that be choose to grant them to us. And if people start causing trouble to make the powers that be question whether or not we deserve those things, then we could find ourselves very much having to pay the price for those people's mistakes. But then again, maybe I'm just overthinking it.
Not this time, buddy. Not this time. You're spot on, actually. Pretty freaking.
Okay, guys, I just looked it up. It is currently in the House Criminal Jurisprudence Committee, waiting for. I think it's pending. It all says it's pending in subcommittee, so it may not make it up because the session's going to be over here pretty soon.
Yeah. All right.
But may I be honest with you though, even if it's not passed, this is going to set a precedent.
Exactly.
Other municipalities that have these issues where frauditors are public, California, New York, Maryland, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be something that other municipalities are going to address.
Especially New York, man. The city is butchering his law enforcement budget. They're down to not even 5%, and they keep cutting it. They're not gonna. At one point, they're not gonna be able to deal with none of that stuff at all. So they're just gonna pass a bunch of laws where there's nothing you can do. And
and one of the problems a lot of states have about doing local laws, a lot of states have what's called the Dillon Rule. And basically says that the local governments only possess the powers that are explicitly granted to them by state government. And so in a lot of states, passing ordinances like you have to be 25 feet away are going to be really tough because the state legislature can just come in and say, no, you can't do that because of the Dillon Rule. So we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of states where I remember when I lived in Virginia, the Dillon Rule got used a lot to squash stuff.
Interesting. All right. Look, I'm not happy. I think they managed to do everything I didn't want them to do, and it's to actually created like some restrictions, all that stuff. I hate it. I really, really hate it.
So thank the frauditors. They're the reason. That's exactly it. If First Amendment auditors, like these big channels, going to put these big elaborate videos out, they wouldn't enable simple folks to go out and do the same thing. I believe First Amendment auditors were never a thing. This would not even be an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
People have been filming the police since 2009. Yeah, there's some videos with the police.
Oh, people have been filming the police since right before Rodney King. I mean, that goes back to the 60s.
But where they actually have to enforce a law, raising the repercussions because people are doing it and saying, "Oh, just spend the night in jail, no problem." Nah.
Yeah, and that's what frustrated me sometimes when I receive those comments, like saying, like, today I have a comment saying a government ask us or whatever stuff like that. I'm like, no, that's the opposite. Like we're not bootlicker, we're not none of that stuff. We don't want those people to put more restriction, to limit the freedom of speech and play in those things. Because we truly believe in those things and we really appreciate them the way they are, like, oh my God. All right.
But that's why their short-sightedness is so dangerous. They don't see anything past the end of their next paycheck from YouTube.
Of course they don't care. And that's so frustrating when I watch a guy like Josh Abrams with his little tattoo of his constitution, whatever, all that shit. And you're ruining it, you fat bastard. He's like, stop it, man. All right, I'm gonna go watch Toronto Maple Leaf lose another game. That's gonna make
Thanks, guys. Have a good night, everybody.
All right,
next week we're gonna talk about I don't know what. We're gonna find something. I wish everybody a good week, and I
real quick,
love
I
you
told
all.
the wife. Told the wife I'd finish by 6:45. I'd take her out to dinner, and it's 7:12 here.
Man, you did.
David,
We appreciate the sacrifice, man.
David, tonight will be a lot of yes, dears.
Okay,
Yes,
well,
dears.
I'm glad you're
All right,
practicing.
guys. All right, bye, everybody.
Hey guys, before we leave, do me a favor.
Yep.
Keep my mom in your prayers. She had a heart attack. She's home. Yeah, she'll be okay, but she's.
Who you say? What did you say? Your mom?
Yeah, my mom had a heart attack.
Oh shit, man.
Well, she's okay. It wasn't serious. They caught it early, so but she went home. My sister's having to super glue her to the bed, but she's not one to lay around and do nothing. So we'll see what happens.
Sorry for that, buddy, man. I hope she's gonna be okay. Yeah,
I do too.
Sorry, I just this is a big news, man. I hope you're okay yourself. I was about just hey, good weekend, and now I'm like I want to cry.
Well, hey, she's alive, so it's a good weekend.
Yeah, at least, yeah. All right, man. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.
See you later.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Will, remember, it's yes, dear.
Yes, dear. Yeah. Bye, man.
See you later.